Girls, guess what?
What? Yeah?
We're quitting school in DC. What? You think I'm joking? All right, today we're going to talk about everything that you really need to know about public school in DC. I'm Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. You are?
Marcina.
You are?
Leah.
All right, so let's dive in. It is not a secret that we have loved our elementary school in Glover Park, Stoddert Elementary. We've loved all of our teachers. It's just been fantastic. It's really easy, though, in the early years to love your school because a lot of it is play-based and the stakes aren't that high. But little kids have little problems, but bigger kids have bigger problems, right? So as we started to get to the higher grades with this one, we started to wonder if going to the public middle school was the right choice. So that's what we were talking about and thinking about, and we started to investigate that this year. And then I had written out my notes for this video actually 2 different times, and I even recorded it once, and we deleted that recording because things started changing and happening so fast at the end of the year that I almost couldn't keep up. And I was like, the whole video I recorded now needs to be redone because more stuff has happened and changed. So we're going to talk about the 5 reasons why we are going to be leaving DC Public Schools. So the number 1 reason why we've kind of had it with the DC Public Schools, testing. More specifically, park testing. So students in grades 3 through 8 and anybody that is enrolled in Algebra 1 or 2, Geometry, and English 1 or 2 has to take what they call the park test. So let's go directly to the DC Public School website and tell you what the park test allegedly does. Quote, it assesses what your child is learning in school and it helps teachers and parents know if students are on track for success in college and careers. Did you see the part where I said above that it's administered to grades 3 through 8? And also to people in maybe like Algebra 1 and 2 and English 1 and 2, which is maybe what, 9th or 10th? So why are we talking about college and careers? So I think that's just a bunch of smoke up people's behinds because I think that's all nonsense, right? So we didn't actually grasp the full extent of this stupidity when Marcina got to 3rd grade because that was COVID year, 2020. Girls? Exactly. Okay, so now that the girls are in 3rd and 5th, we truly understand the full lunacy of the park testing madness. In late March this year, we received emails from their teachers that said, essentially, we're winding down the curricula and we're gonna go into review for park testing. 3 weeks of review, and then the kids are gonna go take the tests. 3 weeks of review for a standardized test. Okay, so I need to say that again because it's actually so mind-blowing. Winding down the curricula, 3 weeks of review in April, and then going into the test. So this is what they mean when they say teaching to the test. So why is this necessary? Why are we taking 3 weeks out of school to learn things solely to do well on a test? There's been no homework for probably most of April, and we're well into May at this point. Still no homework because they've been saying that the kids are being given a break due to the park testing. I'm generally not a huge fan of homework just because it's a nightmare to try to get these 2 to do anything aside watching like YouTube and playing Roblox. Anyway, but I can't understand how it's just easy to take a couple months off from it or wind it down in March and we're done with homework for the year. So the park thing is actually like a multi-layered cake of BS if you want to really talk about it and you didn't realize it. So first, all regular learning and teaching at the school stops so that we can do the parks test. The park thing is then that they spoon feed them everything that they need to do well on this test for several weeks. And then they actually offer them bribes. Didn't you get snacks for park test? Isn't there a barbecue coming to celebrate the end of park testing? Yeah, bribes. Want to know why they're bribing them?
To get us to do it?
No, follow the money. Do you know what that means? Okay.
Follow the money, is that what it means?
Yeah, okay. Good girl.
It means follow the money.
Yeah, follow the money. So this is a direct quote from a teacher from the Crazy Mom message board. As a teacher, I think that the park test is a waste of time. Our school and administration will be penalized if we don't have a certain number of students sit for it. Also, teachers and principals' bonuses are tied directly to park results.
Ooh.
I know.
Drama.
Total drama. All right. Number 2, the reason why we are considering and probably going to leave. Marcina is leaving next year. We're not sure what we're going to do with this
I
one.
don't gotta do park testing next year.
Yeah. So number 2 is inequitable equity. What does that mean? Let's dive a little bit deeper into the stupidity associated with park testing. Not only are there bonuses for teachers and principals based on test scores, but the bonus structure is higher for people of color according to a well-connected source. This is why I know. This is why some schools, as overcrowded as they may be, will take out-of-boundary students off of the wait list. So I didn't believe this, but I knew that the person who told me was very well connected in the school and wasn't making it up. However, one day I found myself at a closing table. My clients were the sellers, the other side was the buyer. We were all there together. This was kind of pre-COVID when we all did go to settlement tables together. And that buyer had said that she was a teacher with DC Public Schools and she quit and went to go work at a private school out in Virginia. And I said, okay, can you answer this question for me about park testing and blah, blah? Is it true that? And then I told her the situation and she said, it is true. Wow. So DCPS is basically playing politics with our children, and there's no that side or this side here. All of us should be mad about this, right? If you're in boundary, you should be mad that your schools are overcrowded and yet they are still accepting out of boundary students, not out of the kindness of their hearts, but because it has a financial benefit for them. If you're out of boundary, you should be mad that your child was essentially cherry picked because they are worth more money in somebody's or many somebody's pockets. So, Leah, do you remember when you told me that they come in for park testing and they pull certain kids out of the classes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the deal with those kids? Were they all born in the United States?
No.
No, they were not. But do they speak English very well?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. So, the children pulled out all happen to be born outside the U.S. with another language as their first, despite the fact that they have exceptional fluency in English. So, this makes me wonder, why are they doing this? Are they somehow manipulating these tests even further?
They did that in my class too.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's a racket. So you can opt your kid out of these tests, but most people don't. Also, I mean, do you want your kid to be the one singled out while the rest of the class is taking a test that actually means nothing for their education anyway? It's really just a measure of how good the school is doing. It's essentially your great school scores, nothing else, right? So I've told the kids not to worry about these tests. I don't want to mess things up for our school or the teachers because we have adored them all through these years. But Leah did get to a point where she was like getting pretty stressed out about it and she didn't want to take like the second set of the tests. So I emailed her teacher and I said, look, we might want to sort of opt out or whatever. I never heard back from the teacher, but let's just say that my email went up the chain. And then I received a message back from another teacher who I guess helps administer these park tests. It had many people copied on it, including the assistant principal and the principal. And the theme of the reply was like, gee, I guess you could opt out. No one's really ever asked us that before, Miss Terzis. Huh, when I look at the website, I mean, here's what it says. This is what I found by Googling it. Okay, so I know for a fact that people at that school have opted out. Good Lord, I don't know why you're blowing smoke up my behind. I know that people have done this. I know, yeah. So now the truth is out as to why an overcrowded school will open up spaces that actually don't exist for kids in other areas of the city. Everything is political to include our children's education. Right, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All right, so the third one is administrators whose hands are tied, aka restorative justice. They now call it restorative practice. It's softened from the former term of restorative justice. This is where the school hopes that with some guidance, children can solve their own issues. Great. Our school has had several situations that have escalated beyond what anybody really would want for their child. 3 years ago, a second grade boy in Marcina's class punched a second grade girl in the face because during story time, her foot was somehow touching his foot. He went home and told his mommy, and then his mommy told him, when you go back to school tomorrow, I would like you to punch her in the face. So he went back and did that. Second grade. That is what happened. So the day he met with the principal, I guess they suspended him, which was kind of amazing, but whatever. That was 3 years ago. He was later overheard in a school bathroom crying. His mother was in there yelling at him to stop crying, and she said, "You did exactly what I told you to. Why are you crying? Why are you crying?" There were witnesses to this conversation. All of this got reported. That's not the worst of it, though. Leah, Mercina, where does that student's mother work who told the kid to punch the other girl in the face?
At the school. Stoddert.
At the school. In the afternoons, Stoddert turns into a DPR, which is Department of Recreation Rec Center, Parks and Rec. And they run other programs out of there, and that child's mother works in that program and is still there 3 years later. The following year, that same student, who is now in 3rd grade, dumped paint that he found all over the closet, that he found in a closet all over the cafeteria. People in the know report never disciplined for that either. This year, he hit another student in the face when they were heading out the door to go on a field trip. And when that made it to the principal's office for discipline, the kid who got hit was clearly coached, because then he went home and told his parents it was a mutual misunderstanding. And that was pretty much all he could say about it to his mom. She was like, okay, whatever. She knows the real deal of what happened. A few months later, that same student pushed a kid down the stairs. According to other teachers, he was never disciplined. Is he still in school to this day? He is. Yep. Does his mother still work there, girls? She does. Okay. Anybody got a plan for this kid to not turn into the Unabomber? Absolutely no idea. Probably not. All right. So last month, a 3rd grader, now we're in Leah's group, with known psychological issues, beat up a pre-K kid. The 3rd grader had to be physically restrained. The child needs more than what the regular school can essentially offer him. Should he have been expelled? In my book, absolutely. He's a danger to himself. He's a danger to other children. He's a danger to teachers. One actually had to go to urgent care after they were bitten, and the bite was so severe that the doctor actually couldn't believe how bad the bite was from the student. Is that student still there? Sort of. He is. Nobody really has a read on it, but now I raised bloody hell about this because they're not expelling anybody. They don't expel at elementary. Their goal with this restorative practice is that they want to keep kids in school. They are hoping that by the other children modeling behavior, that those kids will rise up and eventually figure it out. What the problem lies in, though, is the fact that everybody else gets dragged down, and all this drama drags everybody down. Nobody's learning anything. Teachers are completely, the resources are being diverted. The reading teacher at school is essentially this kid's bodyguard, has to follow him around. So I banged this up the chain with DC Public Schools over the last week or two since I recorded the first version of this video, and had a meeting with several of the powers that be. And essentially they said, we're sorry, there's something called the Grosso legislation, which came into effect in 2018. That was a council member, and they essentially decided that they are not going to suspend or expel unless it's for like unbelievably bad situations. Whatever, okay? So I'm now highly worried that we might be brewing the next school shooter and nothing is actually being done about it. So from the infamous mom message board, here's what a teacher said with respect to volatile students. It takes months and months of red tape data collection to get that child into the setting that they need to be in. Well, that is a problem, my friends, because everybody else is completely distracted while dealing with it. The rest of the kids are in danger while everybody dots their I's, crosses their T's 8,000 times. And I may sound hardcore here, but this is what I said to them at the school. The safety of these two is absolutely non-negotiable, right? The red tape slows down getting kids the help that they need, and other kids suffer. Their education suffers, their personal safety is at risk. In our school right now, the teacher's safety is also at risk. And these are just two kids that I know about because my kids happen to be in their grade and have had classes with them and recess with them and things like that. I've been informed by parents and teachers that there are students like this in other grades as well. I'm just not privy to it. So I'm highly concerned about the elementary school at this point. I trust and rely on the teachers and administration to do the best they can, but do I think that the girls are safe? I don't. And as of May 2023, this is like the first time I've ever said that in our whole time being in the elementary school. Other fun things of note that I've mentioned in other videos, the school up the street hired a bus driver to drive kids, little kindergarten and pre-K kids to pumpkin picking. Bus driver was drunk, crashed on the way home. Cafeteria manager retired at the kids' school. What happened the next day, girls?
Everyone started throwing up.
Yeah, because somebody...
the pizza was only cooked for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, somebody forgot to cook the pizza. I don't know how you screw that up. Anyway, these are the things that happen. As recently as this past week, the middle school that we're zoned for is attempting and finally succeeded in overthrowing the principal. He was fired with only 5 weeks to go in the school year. The PTO called an emergency meeting. Around 300 parents attended. They cited the following reasons for wanting him out of the middle school. A security incident that they swept under the rug. That was a fight on the playground. Girl's nose was smashed or broken or something like that. Budget and staffing decisions by the principal resulted in being cut short on the target number of teachers. Electives are going to be limited and pre-selected for students, and some of the good teachers may be leaving. I texted these developments to the girl's dad and said, I have never felt like we have dodged a bullet more in our lives than right now, because Mercina's going to a private school next year for middle school. Number 4, reasons we're leaving: abysmal communications. I have mentioned the incidents where students assaulted other students or teachers. These incidents resulted in rerouting of the entire school from their morning routine in one case and dismissal in another case. We were actually never told why. Inside the school, there was an announcement about avoiding the cafeteria area. What were you told, Mercina, when you left that day?
To look down and look the other way.
To look down and look the other way.
Face the other way and look down and don't. And I was getting my bag, and my teacher told me not to look over there.
Not to look over there. Where they were restraining that student, that 3rd grader, who had another incident where he attacked somebody and jumped over a table to get that person. Yeah, found that out today. So we were never told why this was happening. We never were told why our kids were coming out of different doors. We never told why our kids came out super worried and concerned that something had happened inside the school and they were scared about it. Simple message that a student had a health issue and needed privacy would have done worlds of good in stopping a lot of the idle chatter. They didn't do that. When somebody from DC's General Service Department earlier this year accidentally pulled the lockdown alarm around 10 a.m. one morning, they sent the entire school into closets and bathrooms with kids fearing for their lives. The parents didn't get a message about it until after pickup. There were kids who were crying. There were others who were praying. This isn't okay. A message and robocalls should have gone out immediately. There are kids in that school that have anxiety issues and were freaking out. This kind of stuff isn't okay. A simple email home would have done the trick. As my husband said, they have no problem communicating when there's a case of lice or strep throat, but nobody tells us the really important stuff. It's unbelievable. When the pre-K kid got beat up, they forgot to call his mother and tell her. Kid has asthma. He went home and had to be on a breathing machine all weekend. These things are unbelievable. All right, so lack of good leadership is number 5. So I get that these are really tough jobs. We learned during the pandemic that we all hate educating our children. But there are currently anywhere between 7 to a dozen principals who are resigning this year, according to Crazy Mom Board. We got a new principal post-pandemic. I thought she was here to stay. From my perspective, initially, I thought she was actually doing a decent job, but after 2 years, she's leaving. So you have to wonder, how bad is it that she's leaving already? She served the contract she signed for 2 years. Middle school had a great principal for the entire duration that Mercina's been going to her elementary school, and we had no qualms about going there until the principal left. They brought a new principal in this past year, and the train is literally off the tracks right now. So I wanted to keep tabs on the middle school. I had signed up for their weekly email messages, and besides the fact that the email messages from the principal always have several glaring spelling errors, they're filled with gems. This past week, one of them was saying as they close out the year, they're starting a new bathroom procedure. There are going to be hall monitors on every floor, and students have to sign in and out of the bathroom because there was vandalism, there was drugs, there was all kinds of stuff going on in the middle school bathrooms. Hall monitors were going to be the principal, the assistant principal, security guards, whoever. I don't know how that's going now that he's gone, regardless. And middle school is the worst, so we decided to save Mercina from what sounds like a disorganized situation at Hardy Middle with the bullying, the administration that seems to have no control, teachers who allegedly don't respond to inquiries, and kids that vandalize bathrooms and fight in the courtyard. Okay, so that's that. There's a new high school that's opening up. It's going to open this fall. We're zoned for it based on our address. I'm currently happy about it. It seems like it's actually going well. And it sounds like it's going to be a much smaller school than the current high school. They're starting out with just a freshman class this fall, and then we're going to have a few years to watch and see how things go. So we're not 100% out of DC public schools. Leah's still there, right? You falling asleep? God, you're tired. You guys are tired tonight. So Leah's still there. We're truly hoping that maybe we could re-enroll the girls for high school. But round one of this video had me sort of at like 90% will go back to public for high school. In the past few weeks, I'm going to say that that number's probably dropped to 25%. I'm not sure we're going to go back. There's like a 1 in 4 chance. That is how hopeful I am based on where everything is right now, and to see if they can turn this around to a place where we feel comfortable sending the girls to school. So we're watching you, DCPS. We're watching you very closely. I am DC Real Estate Mama, and these are the babies, and we are checking out. Contact info's coming next.